butter. That's right, we're gonna make homemade butter today. It's very simple to make, so let's get to it. So we're only gonna use about half of this. This is a quart of heavy cream, and you gotta make sure you're using heavy cream. We just put half of the quart in there, and we're gonna lift this up. We are gonna make salted butter, but we're not gonna put the salt in just yet. We are going to whip this up, and then we'll add the salt in. So we're going to turn this on and we're going to let this whip for a few minutes. It only takes a few minutes in a stand mixer. Let's get this going. You will want to start mixing this on a low setting, and as it gets a little bit thicker, you can put it up to a higher setting to speed up the process. You can see right now, it is at the consistency of a light whipped cream. But we are going to continue on whipping this at a medium to high speed until we see it start to separate. So as it starts to separate from the buttermilk, the solids from the buttermilk, you're going to have to turn down how quickly you're whisking this, because it is going to start to splatter again. But you see how that's separating out? This needs just like another minute. Okay, we're all done with the whisking part of this, and the solids have separated out from the liquid, as you can see. So you want to strain this out now. So I'm going to put this right in here, and I'm going to strain that all out. Now you do not want to throw this liquid out. It is buttermilk, so you want to use it. There are so many things. You can make buttermilk pancakes, you can make buttermilk biscuits, you can make buttermilk cakes. You can make a lot of things with buttermilk, so you do not want to get rid of it. So you just want to press it down a little bit and let it drain out. Now, if you don't have a strainer like this, you can just use cheesecloth and squeeze it into a bowl. You want a pretty fine mesh strainer though, so that you're not losing any of the butter curds. But that's getting nice and packed down. Now, the reason we didn't add the salt prior to this is we didn't really want to salt the buttermilk. And if we put the salt in while we're whipping it, you're going to get that salt in the buttermilk, and you really don't want that. So you want to be able to incorporate the salt in once it's all drained out. Now you can leave a little bit of the liquid in there if you want. It really is dependent on what you like. Okay. So now we are just going to add some salt in here, and we're going to add about a half of a teaspoon of salt into this. Really want to work that in there. So my suggestion is at this point that you work it in with your hands, because trying to use the spatula to mix that in evenly is not going to work. So we're going to mix that into these solids with our hands. And you're seeing you're still getting some of that liquid out, but I'm going to do it over here because I don't want to get the salt into the buttermilk. Really want to incorporate that salt evenly in there, so really get in there and knead it. Of course, make sure your hands are clean. So there's our butter. Now you can form it into a log. At this point too, if you were making an herbed butter, this is when you would want to add it in. I'm going to store mine actually in a glass dish. I'm going to press it down in there and just make it even. But now you have homemade butter. Very, very simple. 2 ingredients. Doesn't get simpler than that. So there's our butter in our glass dish. This makes about a half a pound, so we used a half of a quart. So it makes about a half a pound of butter. And as far as buttermilk goes, we're getting a little more than a cup of buttermilk out of that. So that's really great. That's perfect for recipes.